Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Since Day One. Before we get into this video about Azriel Clary and RKelly, go ahead and like the video, comment down below, and if you are new, smash that subscribe button to take flight with us.
Fake love, I don't need it, you can keep it as a fact. I had to make up my mind. I took that weight off my shoulders. I done been down for ooh, man.
Azriel Clary then came out with the tea, you guys. She's finally telling it, and I am here for it. I thought that she never wasn't gonna say anything, y'all, and I was just so full with the girl king. I really wasn't, but y'all know we just had to play along with it at the time. But your girl came through for us. RKelly ain't never getting out. It has been a long time coming, y'all. For real, it's 2020, you guys. RKelly is out. He gone. Ain't no coming back. I feel like the only thing that they would really have a problem with is that this girl done did a lot of reneging. And all it took was for her to watch the documentary, y'all. That's what we wanted all along. This girl and her family been plotting from day one, and they have finally succeeded with their master plan. To be honest, y'all, RKelly's first mistake was not sending Azriel Clary them home when all of this stuff hit the fan. That was his first mistake, because he know iCloud is forever. Believe you me, Azriel is only giving us the icing on the cake. She ain't even cut the mother yet. Well, I'm just here to say the same old thing that I've been saying since day one, that RKelly is guilty and he needs to just stay where he at, because ain't nothing changed, and he been doing the same old thing since the 90s. And it seems like now Azriel Clary is finally starting to see things from our point of view. Azriel Clary did an interview with The Sun, and we finna take it back old school to when we first encountered surviving RKelly. Speaking out against the star, real name Robert Kelly, for the first time, Azriel Clary alleges he would film women doing things to children or doing degrading acts so that they would never be able to come forward and tell on RKelly. In an exclusive interview with The Sun, Azriel, 22, said, "I think that there's hundreds of people out there that RKelly did things to. Robert has live-in girlfriends. He has girlfriends in every city. He has flings in every city. There's usually 3 main cities in every state. So 3 times 50, that lets you know how many women are probably out there. And that's probably not even hitting it on the nail. For the most part, he blackmails everyone. He makes everyone do degrading stuff, whether on film or writing it down. He makes them sign it." And Azriel claims that she thinks that RKelly has so much stuff on these women, you guys, that that's what's keeping them from coming forward. Azriel says she thinks a lot of women are ashamed or embarrassed to come out because of stuff like that, because it'll be incriminating them. And there's so much stuff. He has letters of people saying that they've stolen from him. He has letters from people saying that they've been touched by their parents or their brothers or other family members. He even has people on film touching their younger nieces or younger brothers. And so I know a lot of women out there are too embarrassed, humiliated, or ashamed to come out, because this man has that much power to control them, to make them touch their younger nieces or touch their younger brothers. Azriel Clary made sure to personally emphasize that she had never done anything like that, and she says that she would be entirely too ashamed to come forward. Thankfully, she had never been in that situation, but she has seen it done to other women. A lawyer for RKelly said that Azriel's allegations were untrue. However, her claims of abuse echoed the criminal allegations. And now Azriel Clary, in an emotional interview, accuses the I Believe I Can Fly singer of brainwashing, beating, and abusing her for years after meeting him following a concert he gave in Orlando, Florida in 2015. The fresh-faced teenager was approached by one of the R&B star's handlers and given his number at a concert when she was just 17. As an aspiring singer, Azriel was excited to meet the star, and he began flying her out to meet him in different cities at the weekends before she moved in with him in Chicago during her summer break from high school. She became one of RKelly's 5 living girlfriends, but she was given the title of being his #1 girl, with the star promising to one day marry her and have children with her. But the relationship soon turned into a devastating cycle of control and manipulation in which the star allegedly controlled every moment Azriel and the other girlfriends made, even making them ask permission to eat and use the bathroom. Azriel says she was forced to have groups with him and the other men and women up to 5 times a day. If they didn't abide by the singer's twisted rules, he would beat them or get women to beat each other up. We were in Atlanta at the mansion, and he rushed into the room and said he had a meeting, and one of the girls didn't want to help clean up for that meeting, Azriel recalled. And so 2 of the other girlfriends began to verbally abuse the other girlfriend, and they began to physically abuse her. They started punching her, slapping her, and then from there, Robert came into the room, and he began to do it as well, verbally and physically slapping her and hurting her and pushing her and just throwing her around like a rag doll. That was my very first red flag. She says it wasn't long before RKelly took his violent tendencies out on her, one time allegedly savagely beating her with a size 12 shoe for hours while she was naked because he caught her talking to her high school friends on the phone. Sickeningly, the star then made one of the other girlfriends come in and bathe her body covered in cuts and bruises as she looked on. I was talking to my friends from high school, and he didn't like that I was still talking to them. He thought that I was keeping things from him. I was just in communication with 2 of my girlfriends, and he made me text them a very long lie, basically saying why I no longer wanted to be friends with them. And then he beat me, he abused me verbally, and then he beat me physically. Then he beat me on with a shoe, a size 12 Nike Air Force One and then he continued to do it all over, and it felt like hours, and I was covered in welts all the way from my neck down. And then Azriel continued that's when RKelly had Juice, one of his other girlfriends, come in the room. Azriel Clary said that RKelly had a high sex drive, and usually 3 to 5 times a day was normal for him. Azriel Clary said it was always just something that happened, and if you did not want to participate, if you embarrassed him in front of other women, or even if you just did not perform well, he would tell you to leave or wait in the restroom with the water on until he was finished. And the majority of the time after, he would tell you to turn the TVs up, and he'd go in the bathroom and beat the woman that did not do what he wanted. No one was ever vocal, because whether you were vocal or not, he would still beat you. And then on top of that, he would stop having sex with you, which I've seen with other girls. There have been times where women have gone months to years with no sex with Robert, and he won't have sex with them or please them because they are not pleasing him or doing what he wants. And then Azriel Clary continued that between those months or years, although he is not personally intimate with the girl, he will still make them participate and do things to other women, and make them watch him do other things to women to break them down. And those are the games he played. I don't think any woman ever wanted to sleep with the other. It was just something we all became immune to please him. It was easier pleasing him than getting beat every other day, and everyone learned that very quickly. Azriel also says she witnessed RKelly sending his girlfriends out to recruit other young women. And I've seen him ask women to go approach other girls for him and give them his number, like at the mall and things like that. It could be anywhere, really. You could be out eating at a park in the middle of driving. If he sees someone that he likes, he'll definitely send a girl that he feels confident in doing those types of things for him. Azriel also revealed how a typical day with the star would even start around 4 p.m. and every aspect of their lives was controlled, from what they wore to what they were allowed to eat. Bizarrely, the star would do the same things every day at the same time, dragging the women along with him in his Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, which had curtain windows so people could not see in or out. Definitely, you would not do anything without him knowing, she said. You have to ask him if you could go to the restroom. You will have to knock anytime you entered or left a room, she said. He controlled you to what you wore. Anything that was tight, hugging, revealing was not allowed. You had to wear very loose clothing. The fact that I looked so young, I had to wear hats every time I left to go out. Every night, everyone had to take places, which meant go to your rooms. I would sleep with Robert every night. We wake up usually around 4 p.m. and he usually has a meeting. We usually go out around 6 o'clock, and usually from there we go to get food to Portillo's or anywhere in Chicago. Then from there he'll go to the cigar bar, and we'll go to the Trump where he had an apartment or his studio, and we'll just stay there. Or if he's in meetings, then we'll stay in his Sprinter while he has that meeting, and usually that can be anywhere from 2 hours to 5 hours that we're sitting in the Sprinter. RKelly's response to Azriel's claims, in a statement to The Sun from RKelly's lawyer Steve Greenberg, said, We were surprised to learn that Mrs. Clary is now making these allegations. Restricted by the protective orders the prosecution requested, we are not able to litigate these matters in the press. However, the information provided is directly contrary to facts that have been brought forward by Mrs. Clary in the past, and the facts she is now reciting are directly contrary to her numerous other accounts, as well as, in certain instances, what we expect to be in the documentary, proof from sources not involved in any of the pending cases. In sum, Mrs. Clary had a long-term consensual relationship with Mr. Kelly, and it continued after he was arrested, when she was free to do as she wished. It is clear that now she seeks to benefit from their relationship, and the allegations are not true. Still, Mr. Kelly bears only goodwill towards Mrs. Clary. Azriel Clary continued, once he usually goes straight into basketball around 11 and 12 at night and plays basketball all the way up until about 3 to 4 in the morning. After that, we eat again. We'll go somewhere late night, usually White Castle or McDonald's, and get some food. And then from there, we go back to the studio, and he would just record music all the way up until like 7, 8 in the morning. And then we watch a movie and go to sleep and do it all over again. It was like that for 5 years. Even when RKelly was jailed on July 2019, he still controlled every aspect of Azriel's life, making her come and wave to him in jail at the same time every day. By the time he was jailed, the only remaining women in his entourage were Azriel and Joycelyn Savage, who Azriel says remains loyal to RKelly even today. Handlers would make sure the women still followed his rules. MCC is on the left side of the street, and there's a train that runs straight in front of the MCC in Chicago. So every day he would make us go up there and stand up there and wave to him at 4 o'clock through the window of the jail. Every day, whether it's snowing, raining, storming, he didn't care. Just go up there and wave to him every day at 4 o'clock. I was the only one that he wanted to visit him in jail for those first 4 or 5 months. I was the only one visiting him, which was very hard on Joycelyn, and it was still a way of manipulation by keeping her angry at me because I'm the only one that can see him. I know that he knows that he's doing something wrong, and truthfully, I feel like because he's 53, he just knows that he has too much to lose now. And so he really has no choice but to fight. He's been doing this for so long. He's been denying this for so long. He really has no choice but to continue to fight. Azriel says one of the most heartbreaking aspects of her 5-year ordeal was being banned from talking about her family. Aside from a few rare phone calls, she said she had no contact with her parents for the whole 5 years she was with RKelly. Dad Angelo fought tirelessly to rescue her, even infiltrating RKelly's inner circle and traveling across the U.S. just to see a glimpse of his daughter or try to find out what was going on. You weren't allowed to mention family without him being around. You weren't allowed to show pictures of your family, she said. You couldn't show a picture of your niece or your little sister or your cousin or anything without him being around. There's funerals that I've missed out on that I've had to act like I didn't care about for him. And there's been nieces born and nephews being born in my family, and birthdays and holidays and reunions and anniversaries that I've really just had to act like I didn't care about. It was tough. Azriel even did an interview with Gayle King last year in which she defended the star, but which she now admits she regrets. I definitely do believe that I was very naive and very brainwashed and manipulated by him, she said. And as much as I hate to say it, I'm woman enough and I'm grown enough to admit that yes, I was brainwashed, and yes, I was manipulated. And yes, this man did have me wrapped around his finger. If he would have told me to jump, I would have said how high. I was all in because I just genuinely just loved him, and I love hard. Azriel finally left RKelly's clutches in November 2019 and returned to live with her parents after watching the Surviving RKelly documentary and realizing the extent of the abuse she and other women had suffered. She also says she is still struggling to adjust to life on her own and recently got involved in a physical altercation with RKelly's remaining girlfriend Joycelyn earlier this month. Social media video shows the pair punching, scratching, and screaming at each other, while Azriel accuses Joycelyn of having intercourse with her when she was a minor. Azriel says she only went to see Joycelyn in order to save her and try to persuade her to see the truth about RKelly. Joycelyn was arrested and charged with misdemeanor battery following the incident and is due in court this week. Azriel Clary says life is definitely hard and it's a lot to adjust to. It's just a lot that I missed out on. I just really feel ashamed for giving someone that much power over me. For the most part, I am taking the steps to, regain that freedom, and just get comfortable living in my own skin. You know, there are times where I'll still knock before I enter a room, or feel like I have to wear sweats or covered up, even in the own comfort of being around my family and stuff. There are times where I'm not affectionate with my family because I just haven't talked about them. You know, you're not allowed to talk about them or bring them up without his permission. So there's been so many years I've gone without even bringing them up or thinking about them that I really just lost touch with them. And that's definitely the most heartbreaking thing, like not being able to see your brother or your dad for 3 or 4 years and still not wanting to hug them. And when asking about her feelings towards RKelly now, Azriel simply says she feels sad for him. I just feel sad for him. I really do, because I loved him. I gave him all of me. And because I gave him all of me, he did not have to take advantage of me the way that he did. And that's what's really the most heartbreaking, because what he did was so wrong. And the fact that once I watched the documentary, seeing him do it to so many other women, it kind of makes you feel like, okay, I'm not special. You've been doing this since the 1990s. It's really heartbreaking because I genuinely did love him and I genuinely did want a future with him. And now when I hear his name, I just wish I could erase every memory. And that was the end of the article, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in with me on this video, and thank you so much for riding with me for the last 2 years on getting Azriel and Joycelyn home. And even though at the end of the day Joycelyn is still there, I feel like eventually, before the end of 2020 is over, she's gonna have no choice but to wake up and realize what is really going on. But who's to say that Azriel isn't hinting at Joycelyn being one of the women who was caught on tape doing something to one of their significant others to prove their love for RKelly? I mean, she could just be trying to tell us, in other words, that Joycelyn is one of those people, and therefore that's maybe why Joycelyn hasn't left. We all really will never know until the trial comes out. I'm just happy that Azriel went home, despite, even if she did come out and look at the people who were riding for her and rooting for her to do better for herself. She looked at us like we were the enemies, when all along the enemy was RKelly, and he was manipulating you to look at us like we really don't support you. And I support you, girl. Been here with you since day one, and I just wish you the best, and I hope that everything turns out for you like you would like it to. And to be honest, y'all, I'm so glad that this shit is over. To be honest, like, I really am happy that it's over. I can't wait for Joycelyn to wake up, if she is or if she ain't. I don't know. I mean, probably at this point she feels like where she at is way better than where she was, where her daddy been acting a plum fool on the internet, y'all. He has done the complete most. And if I was her, I probably wouldn't want to go home either. But girl, leave RKelly and go get you an apartment somewhere. I don't know, y'all. I'm just glad it's over. I'm glad he locked up, and I'm glad that we are almost closer to the trial. I heard that it was happening in like April of 2020, correct? I haven't really been keeping up. Yes, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. I love you, and I will see you in the next video.
Sleeping from sofa to sofa. Now I'ma step on these little bitty bitches. Hit some brand new Gucci low. Some Gucci walking on. I got tired of eating Big Mama's chicken. Now it's business when I want.